Herzlich willkommen zur 4. Episode von Let's Talk About Sales, Baby. Heute mit dem Titel Sales is not a crime und zu Gast ist Steven Stewart von Horizon Insurances in den USA. Wir haben heute mal einen ganz speziellen Gast. Steven ist ein alter Kollege von mir und wir werden heute über das Thema Beziehungsmanagement im Vertrieb reden. Hey, welcome, Steven. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Oliver, man. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to have you. And as a information for those on the States that are going to be watching us, those of you know I love to have conversations. And today we're going to be listening to and conversing with Oliver Schmitz. Oliver is in Deutschland, in Germany, and I was thinking about it just before we got on this conversation. We're both small business owners, but we're talking about big business topics. So Oliver is a consultant in the sales industry and helps to kind of demystify, decriminalize, hashtag sales is not a crime, the sales process. And you guys who know me realize that I connect well with this concept of sales does not have to be an all-out approach. We should be asking questions, informing and educating people along the way. And I've had the pleasure to work with Oliver in the past and understand very well that he feels the same way about sales as we do.
Yeah, thank you very much for introducing me, Stephen. I mean, I have to apologize to all the people in the US and in the UK for my terrible English, but I will work on it. And Stephen, maybe you would like to introduce yourself and your business?
Without a doubt. It's kind of interesting. Horizon Insurance, what we do here in the States are personal lines and commercial lines with an emphasis on commercial lines insurance. But that is really just the vessel that enables me to do all of the other, what I find to be more interesting things, such as collaborating and networking opportunities. I work locally with different networks to try and bring people to the table, improve the experience, and ultimately get us more engaged on both a small scale and a larger scale. And as a very positive byproduct to that, my insurance business tends to benefit. So the more people that you introduce to one another, especially in the business industry, the more opportunities there are for Horizon Insurance to be that professional. And for you, why don't you give those of us in the States a little bit of a summary of what it is you do?
Yeah, for all the guys in the US, I try to build up a small consultant business, which means that I'm giving coachings and I do workshops in social selling, which is quite the same approach that Stephen uses for his business, to share my experiences in sales, working with social media as a way to come from cold acquisition to warm leads, and to help salespeople doing an easy and an interesting job. I mean, we are always talking about relationship building. And from my point of view, sales is one of the best jobs that you can have in the whole industry. I mean, you connect people with each other. We are talking about relationships. We are talking about having the chance to talk to interesting people every day. And one of my perspectives is I would like to make business easier for companies.
Do you mind telling the folks here that don't know you, give me an idea of the scale and scope of the customers that you deal with or those who you're consulting with? Just as an example, guys, we worked with an organization that focused on the automotive automation industry, and our customers range from BMW to ZF to Volvo cars. And why that's important is because getting penetration to the people that you need to speak with is not always easy. And so, Oliver, if you can explain how it is that you engage your target market, I think that's going to help people, whether you're just trying to meet your neighbor next door or business to business, the coffee shop down the street. It doesn't matter, guys and gals, how big or how small your markets are. The things that we talk about go across across all relationships.
I mean, it's quite an interesting question, Stephen. Thank you for asking it. I mean, at the beginning, when we are talking about sales and the funny or the fancy stuff like social selling, I mean, let's have a look back and how the business started, right? When we worked as sales managers, the first approach is that we try to find the right people to get in contact with. Therefore, I started using in Germany Xing, and after a while, I started using LinkedIn. Why did I do that? I tried to find the right people to talk to. And I mean, if you do cold calls, right? Normally you call in headquarter and you are asking for somebody. I mean, you're asking for talking to the head of procurement, for example. But if you don't the name of the guy or the lady, you will not be successful. But if you use social media and LinkedIn, you will find the names and the right partners to speak with, and you are able to build up connections at the beginning before you even give them a call, right? It's the soft touch, right? And that was my first my first touch with social media. And after a while, I tried to professionalize it. And now my way is to talk to companies like, big companies, for example, from the automotive business, or maybe small and medium-sized companies. How are they able to teach their employees or their salespeople how to get in contact with their target groups? I mean, the right buying centers, the definition of buying centers, which is interesting, but there are a lot of companies who don't know their buying centers.
And by buying centers, I think that might be the decision maker here in the States. You're looking to identify who's going to ultimately make the decision. Whether you are, I mean, to this day, as a consultant who is helping people with sales, you have to establish, well, who would be the person that would be the decision maker that says, yes, I want my sales team to have Oliver to come in and speak with them, and I will in turn give him money to do so. You got to find that person that's willing to make the decision. And because in our area and the folks that I deal with day in and day out, some of them are one-person teams, and maybe they want to talk to their pressure washing company and they want to speak to the homeowner. What we do is to figure out an inviting approach to make that connection, like you called it, a soft touch. Can you tell me about what have you done on social media to go from I'm reaching out to you to an invitation where you say, hey, here's who I am. You should be interested in what I have to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Basically.
I mean, the first step is that we try to give added value for people without asking for something in return. I mean, give more than you expect is the first approach. And that was quite successful. Now we are talking about 12,000 followers that I got on LinkedIn meanwhile. And I try to post nearly 3 to 4 times a week, and to give input about sales, recruiting, and maybe strategies how to develop your sales team, which was the first step. And after a while, there's some kind of relationship building. Even if we have a podcast or interview formats, we're able to talk to people. We are able to try to ask them, hey, what's your point of pain? And if you really carefully read the posts, you will find out what your market is looking for, right? I mean, last week I had a nice talk to a lady who's in social procurement, and she told me about the strategy how to show procurement in social media, and how to find the right suppliers, which was kind of interesting. It's all about social media nowadays.
It is. One of the things that we've recently done is we have 4 verticals. One vertical is breweries and restaurants. And so I have dove headfirst into the brewing industry, which is great. I mean, what an industry to dive headfirst into.
Hey, you're talking to the German, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, instead of saying, okay, breweries, how can I sell this to you? You know, let me quote your insurance. We took 2 steps back, and I got involved with the North Carolina Brewers Guild. I got involved with Cape Fear Craft Brewers Guild. I'm on Facebook pages, and no one there knows what the heck I do. They just know that I'm not a brewer, and I have all these ridiculous questions about, you know, what type of equipment do you use? You know, give me an overview of your process. And the reason that I lead with all these questions without ever mentioning insurance is because my product, I know that my product brings value. In my industry, they're going to have my product one way or another. So what I have to do is not so much about the product that I'm selling me. Exactly. And so I'm trying to get educated, and as we reach out to these folks, say, how can I bring value? You can get, in my case, you can get that same product right down the street, same everything, but I have to bring value to the table. And that's been really fun. That's like my most fun thing, is to understand how we as individuals bring value to your organization. Do you do any coaching along those lines? Like, how do you help people define who they are as individuals in addition to who they are as a company?
Yeah, it's part of my job. I mean, if we are talking about workshops, I did one nice recruiting or social selling workshop a few weeks ago, and we talked about brand ambassadors, which is kind of interesting. I mean, you need to find people for your company who really like to post on social media. You can't force people to do it. You need to find the right people. And yeah, we took our time, 2 hours, and we talked about their own core competencies and their core values. And with the base of these core values, we defined the role in their social media activities for the future, because it's part of their own nature. I mean, you are a special guy and you like what you do, but if you have to do something which does not fit to your own values, you will not be successful. And it's so nice to do it, and to see how they develop their own strategy now is kind of interesting. It's like to see your own child begin walking, right?
Speaking of values, have you or when's the last time that you went back and looked at your value statement or your mission statement or your vision for your organization or your brand? Have you gone back and looked at that recently? And I say, ask before you answer. I did that recently, and it was awesome. Like, I went back, and the more engaged I get with other people, the more capable I feel of defining what are my values. And I just updated our website, as a matter of fact, with all 3: mission, vision, and values. And it was again fun, you know, to see how we're changing and fine tuning and being specific about what it is we want to be. Have you had any similar experiences?
Yeah, I had the same experiences. I did it a long time. The last 2 years, it was kind of a process, and it was kind of painful as well, because you realize that you maybe done some stuff in the past which is not part of your own culture, and you've got to get rid of your habits. It was interesting, and it's useful, and it's necessary to do it. And I try to do it on a weekly basis and on a daily basis. I mean, all my personal posts on LinkedIn have something to do with my my development, right? Because it's how is the right word in English? You build your own fundament by doing that every day. Yeah.
Absolutely. And maybe you're talking about a foundation, like basically what you're building everything else on top of is what you're evaluating each and every day. That's awesome. And I want you to tell me your why, and then I would love to tell you my why. Why is it that you do what you do?
Because it's my passion. And I started to follow passion, not money anymore, because I'm fully convinced that this is the real path to success and to be happy. I mean, I gave a present to a friend of mine. It was a calendar. The name is Value of Time, and you could see the calendar, and you have 100 years on the calendar, and the past years have all been blacked out. And then you see the time that is left, right? And now, since we are in the 40s, right, we have to really choose our time wisely. And I don't have time for bullshit anymore.
Yeah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And to anyone out there that's not yet in their 40s, or even if you're in your 80s, the truth is you never know. I mean, if you can see what drives by my office window, I mean, 20 feet from where I sit, dump trucks and, you know, crazy drivers go back and forth all day long. You never know when one of them's going to careen right through here, take me out. So our time is valuable. And I got to admit, I've been through a lot of changes over the last 5 years, professionally, personally, you know, from moving to our kids empty nesting, our kids move out, career changes. But I'm super fortunate because every time, like, I'm getting closer and closer to doing what I believe is important. And to respond to my why, you know, why do I do this is because I get to talk to you. I get to talk, like you said, get to talk to interesting people all day long. And we both get super passionate and motivated, like active, our hands start going places. You don't get that in every profession. You just don't. And we do in this one. We get to wear we're emotional guys. You know,
exactly.
I know you. You're emotional. I'm emotional. We get to wear it on our sleeves, and they consider that a good thing. I love it. I love it.
I mean, look at that. It's a present, right? We didn't see each other for nearly 4 years now, and we're still in good contact because we have a relationship. I mean, that's something special. And to all the sales guys outside, please take your time and think about your job and what's your passion. I mean, even if you get tired after a while and the flame is burning out, ask yourself, is it a job or is it just the wrong path that you chose in the past? I mean, do realignment, right? Think about it. And being in sales and have the opportunity to talk to new people is such a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, everyone out there that doesn't think that they're in sales, you are all in sales. Each and every day. We are all ambassadors of our own brand, of the brand that we have created or the brand that we work for. It doesn't matter your position. If you engage with another human being, you are de facto sales because they walk away with an impression. And that's one of our 3 pillars without going into the details. Impressions is one of our 3 pillars of this organization. If you're at the coffee shop, gas station, the church, the club, it doesn't matter. Every time you talk to somebody, you're leaving an impression. So you are in sales. You are in sales, like it or not.
Hey, Steve, thank you very much for talking to me. I mean, I hope I will be in the US soon. And for all the guys in the US who are interested to talk to me and have a workshop with a funny German accent, just give me give me a shout out. And yeah, we will talk to each other soon. Thank you for watching. And yeah, hope to talk to you.
Outstanding. I appreciate you taking the time, Oliver. Again, for those of you who are interested, we'll make certain to have Oliver's contact information below, mine as well.
Perfect.
Tschüss.